is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more trouble, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. I'm only here for
Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in San Jose, California. Welcome to those in the room and those on live stream, wherever you are. The great thing about this place is that we are transforming lives, we are building dreams, and we're revealing love. And the way we do that is by remaining open to the possibility of changing our entire life merely by changing our mind. Welcome home. My name is Ron Wade. I'm a member of your core council, which is our board of directors. I'm a licensed practitioner here, and I'd like to welcome you to my spiritual community. There's a lot of different activities that we have to further your spiritual growth. You can find those outside on the information walls in Fellowship Hall. And if you're here for the first time, we'd like to extend a special welcome to you and invite you to stop by the concierge table in Fellowship Hall, and we can answer any questions you might have about who we are and what we do, including what are these little white funny stoles that some people are wearing. If you want to know the answer to that question, stop in the concierge table. Also, if you're in a hurry to get out the back door after service, there are welcome packets available out the back door as well as at the concierge desk in Fellowship Hall. So now, one of the things we like to do is celebrate being in community with each other, and we do that by standing and saying hello to someone next to you.
Good morning. My name is Mitzi Silverberg, and it is my honor and pleasure to be serving as your practitioner of the day. As we settle into the sweetness of this time in our service, let us join together in speaking our intentions. After we have spoken our intentions, we'll have 2 minutes of silence, and I'll follow that by giving an affirmative prayer. Please repeat after me. I hold in my heart the children and volunteers in our youth program. And members of our community who are not here today. I hold in my heart our loved ones. Those who have gone before us. And those who have yet to arrive. I hold in my heart all those who need healing. I hold in my heart a world free of homelessness. A world free of violence. A world free of hunger. A world free of separation, and a world free of disenfranchisement. I feel the global heart beating in me. As me, right here, right now. Let's pray. Just as the ringing of the Tibetan bowl fills the air in this room, that is the sound of the divine, not only ringing in our ears, but ringing in our minds and in our hearts. There is truly only one presence, one love, one holiness. And I know that that is ever flowing through me, as me, then, now, and later. For that is all that is possible. And as I know that is true for me, I know that is true for each and every person that is in with range of my voice, that holy divine presence gives me the opportunity for a brand new beginning right in this very moment. It allows me, as it allows you, to put aside upset, grievances, hurts, in an opportunity to open up to a correspondence of something that is so much greater, so much love, so much hope, so much possibility. I am filled with absolute joy and gratitude because I know this is the only truth, the only possible truth, is that God is working for my good and my higher good and even more good, just as God is doing the same for each and every person. I completely and totally release my word unto the law because as I have spoken my word, God's already got it. My desires and dreams, your desires and dreams are already manifested. And for this I am joyful and hopeful and in gratitude. And please help me to anchor this prayer with, and so it is. Please join me in the affirmation. The freedom of God is my freedom, and I now cease dwelling on limitation and give my earnest attention to the particular abundance I desire. The abundance of God fills my desire right now.
To be a dreamer, believe in what can be. I am called to be a maker, be an instrument of peace. I am called to be a giver, of abundance I receive. I am called to be a prayer, living out the truth I seek. I am called to be everything. I am called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I am a living, breathing God, and you are one in me. We're called to be. You are called to be a mother, to nurture family. You are called to be a brother, be strength in times of need. You are called to be a neighbor, be a friend to all you meet. You are called to be a leader, to build community. You are called to be a prayer, living out the truth you seek. You are called to be everything. You are called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see all the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. I am the living God. You are one in me. We're called to be. We are called to be forgiveness when pain has run too deep. We are called to be compassionate, be the wind beneath each wave. We are called to be communion, only then can we succeed. We are called to be a prayer, living out the truth we see. We are called to be everything. We are called to be, called to be the glory here on earth, so all might see. All the love and all the beauty that shines in you and me. Yeah, we're living in all God, and you are one in me. We are called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love, called to be peace, called to be joy, called to be love.
Good morning. My name is Ann Mamagani, and I'm your power speaker for today. Really grateful to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So in preparation of thinking about this month's topic, sowing seeds of growth, I looked up the definition of to sow, and it is to plant seed by scattering it in or on the earth. So I did my good student thing, and I said, planting the seed, and I looked that up to plant, and it said once the seed is placed in the ground, it will grow. So I think this is about setting the stage for growth, is what sowing seeds for growth really means to me. And when I think about that, I can't help but reflect on the fact that life happens. So I don't know anybody who's been able to avoid this yet. The coffee gets spilled on the keyboard. There's traffic when we're late already. There's unhelpful store clerks. Fill in the blank. I'm sure you have some experience with some of these types of things. And sometimes it's not so trivial. There's death. There's diagnoses of disease. There's bankruptcy and the like. Many, many more. We're guaranteed that these things are going to happen in all of our lives. There will be events that happen that are just life. What we're not guaranteed is that we will grow from them. Sometimes we might respond by trying to run away from them, diving into alcohol, choosing ways to avoid growing, running away, maybe even just losing a little bit of hope, walking through life with like that much less luster in our hearts. And when I think about that, I can really relate to that. I'm not a person who just naturally grows and does the right thing with these life events. I'm somebody who has to really consciously think about it. I really have to think about sowing those seeds of growth and do it actively. So I've had to set up my life so that I could really sow those seeds of growth. When I didn't do that, before I knew how to do that, I got into a lot of desperation, hopelessness, unhappiness. Things just didn't work. Didn't really work out for me because I didn't know. When I got those life events, I ran away. I said, I don't want to do this. It's really hard. I'm going to just dig my head in the sand and avoid it. And my ego and pride didn't really want to grow. My ego and pride kept me in a place where I wasn't growing. So before too long, it got too painful. I couldn't do it anymore. So I had to just say, okay, I'm going to learn how to sow those seeds of growth. I didn't put it that way. I'm putting it in those terms for us today. But it was that idea. And so I started doing that. And, I think what you'll also hear what I'm about to say about how I sow seeds of growth is that I don't do it because I'm some kind of amazingly spiritual person or, have any special gifts or anything. I do it because my life works when I do, and it doesn't when I don't. And when my life doesn't work, it gets pretty ugly. Not everybody might be able to relate to that, but mine doesn't look too pretty. So, I sow seeds of growth every time I meditate for 30 minutes in the morning, which I've been doing for 18 years. Rarely missing it because it's just puts me in a place where I'm able to face life. I think of it as putting me in a place where I can just kind of be going through life and more likely to see it from a spiritual perspective, more likely to grow. And I sow seeds of growth every time I turn a negative thought into a positive one, as I did this week when I turned, what if our new director of our new group at work is a real jerk, into, hey, I think our new director is going to be fantastic. In fact, I know it. And so it is. I sow seeds of growth every time I look at my part in an altercation or a situation and refuse to look at another person's part, even when I feel the other person might be 99% to blame, and maybe my part's only that 1%. That part is my part, and it's the only part that I can change, and it's the only part that can change me. So I have to own that 1%, 100%. And sometimes I find out when I start owning that 1%, it actually is a little more than 1%. Imagine that. So I did this not long ago. I had a situation with a friend where her defensiveness was really frustrating me in a conversation, and I let my anger show. And, I walked away from that a couple days later. I looked at my part, and I apologized for my part. I did not allude to her part. My part was my anger. Her part was her defensiveness. And, it's amazing what happened is that because I didn't stand in judgment of her, and I let down that ego, and I was in a place where I was really looking to connect with her and relate with her, I was able to relate to her defensiveness. And I saw, now I know how my husband feels when I get a little too defensive in our conversations and arguments. Oh. So that was really telling for me, and it was a really awesome experience because I've had the opportunity to practice letting go of defensiveness, with my husband, which has been really amazing because it just made it that much easier for us to communicate effectively, which those of you who are in any kind of relationship know is pretty important. So I'm really grateful for that, and I wouldn't trade that type of growth and that type of gift for all the pride and ego and self-satisfaction and, self-righteous indignation in the world. Thank you.
Good morning, choir. Good morning. Morning, Dave. Good morning, church. Good morning. I would like to have a real conversation with you this morning. Our topic is the law of correspondence, and our custom in Science and Mind Centers is that you look at the law of correspondence to talk about change your thinking, change your life, which has led for many decades for many of us, led us on a track of doing a lot of what Anne was describing, our ability to look at the difference between, let's say, a new director coming in and being a little concerned or worried about what they might be like, and making an affirmation like, my new director is going to be great, and so it is. And that's fantastic. I'm moved by that. I'm also noticing something. Anne has not just taken this on without doing the deep work. She said she's been meditating every day for 30 minutes every day for how many years? For 18 years. While she was speaking, I was thinking how often we can pass up our 30-minute morning meditation, or even 10 or even 5-minute meditation because we say we don't have time. But while she was speaking, I also reflected on, do I ever pass the bathroom in the morning because I don't have time? I have to tell you, I don't think I've ever done that, ever. Going to the bathroom in the morning is a bit of a priority in my life. And I told you I want to have a conversation with you today. So I wasn't planning this one, but Anne set me up. The sermon that I write and the sermon that I give and the sermon that you hear are never the same. Even the one that I think I'm giving is not the one that you're receiving. Because right now you're in communication with the thing itself, with your view of it and your place within it and your place using it. But what's going on is the miracle of synchronicity. So many prayers can be answered by one seeming event, one word, story. Someone like Anne. So Anne can, I think, with ease and grace and manifest a director that works for everyone, because Anne is not taking just the surface level understanding of our teaching or any teaching that works. She's dived deep. And I feel compelled lately in conversations with you and through conversations we've had at the Board of Trustees level, at the Core Council level, conversations with staff, to dive deep. In our book of the year, A New Design for Living, in the chapter, The Law of Correspondence, Holmes tells us, Holmes is the man who wrote it, this does not mean that we sit around all day thinking profoundly, pushing ponderous abstract ideas about, which, to say the least, is exhausting. This is exactly what we want to avoid. We must never make designing a new life a labor. Designing a new life must never be a labor. Well, if it's not a labor, what is it? Well, for me, I'm particularly moved at this point in my life. I'm really moved by looking at life as it is, accepting it as it is, and then dealing with the reality from that point. How is life? Well, in places like this on Sunday, life is filled with possibility. Anything's possible. There's an infinite empty field of vastness from which anything can occur. And reality beyond these doors, reality which is measurable, is people have cancer, Ebola, poverty, there's violence, victimization, there's homelessness and hunger and drug abuse and alcohol abuse and sexual addictions, and there is despair and loss and grief. And what I love about my teaching, what I love about our teaching, what I love about the center is we at Clark Street don't pretend that that doesn't exist. We don't just try to step over the bodies. But we're learning that we're actually in the middle of a mighty presence to which anything is possible. And within this presence is paradox. That which is irreconcilable. And that's why we can go from, I think, such despair, or any moments of despair, we can literally leap, laughter through tears. One of our licensed practitioners sent me a link to a New York Times article. It was an op-ed piece written in April of this year, and the man's name is David Brooks. David Brooks, in his op-ed article in the New York Times, asked if the main goal of life is to maximize happiness. Is the main goal of life to maximize happiness? And he describes in the first couple of paragraphs of his article that there seems to be a lot of conversation in our culture that people's real goal is to maximize happiness. In fact, in just a 3-month period last year, Amazon.com released 1,000 new books. People published 1,000 new books in a 3-month period of time last year on that same subject about life's goal being to maximize happiness. But the reality is that for many folks, when they look back on their lives, maybe this is true for you, if I were to ask you, tell me a bit about yourself, and you were to recount some of your history, not everything you tell me is going to be pretty. Not everything that's made you what you are today has been something based on happiness and joy and bliss and stuff that rocks your boat and melts your butter. fact, some of it has been great despair and darkness. But those moments that alter us are not just our wedding days or getting the greatest gift we ever got or our first kiss. Some of those things that define who we are the time that you got fired, or when you were afraid that your spouse was going to leave, or when you discovered a lesion and it scared you and you thought you might have AIDS. Because when those things occur, we become awake to a part of life that has heretofore maybe been unknown to us. And I dare say that in my 27 years in the science of mind, there's been a lot of times when I've avoided even those conversations that we ought not have conversations about things that ought not be. But I'm sorry that I may have done some of us a disservice, and that may have been due to my lacking the maturity necessary to go deep with you. But I'm not afraid of that anymore. Because I know now I can go deep with you, but we don't have to stay there. You know, we can be in that pit or that basement. And together we can help each other out of it. And not just tell war stories about what happened in that pit or in that basement, but we have been altered for having been in it. See, I've noticed people shoot for happiness. That's what they aim for. They aim for happiness, but most people that I know feel formed through some kind of suffering. So we shoot for happiness, but we're formed through suffering. And Buddhism tells us that suffering has a cause and a cure. The cause of suffering is attachment, and the cure for suffering is to practice your practice. But when your child dies, and you are in the presence of indescribable despair, I'm not sure how one can not be attached. But there is a thing to which everything is possible. And it's more than a law of correspondence. It's not a person like daddy or mommy or even mother, father, God. For me, it's not a person, but it's a presence. And any one of us can stir the presence into activity by being present in the presence of suffering, whether it's ours or someone else's. I've noticed that people who endure suffering are taken beneath the routines of life, and they find that they're no longer who they thought they were. It's like anyone I've known who's been effective in recovery. You know, in recovery they talk about hitting your bottom. But I've noticed for some, despair and suffering is so profound, you don't even hit bottom. You actually crash through the floor into a room below bottom that you didn't know existed. And then you crash even below that into another room that you did not know existed. I've noticed that this happens when people have a loss in job or their life savings or their relationship. But it's also the loss of who you've thought you were. Who you're afraid you won't be. And people who have had life-threatening illnesses, who have overcome them, people who have rebounded from terminal illness, they're not just healed, they're different. And what I've learned about suffering is, for me, when it's over, I'm not just healed, I'm different. People who were hanging out here in 1999, 2000, 2001, you know, when my first 3 years here, if they were to come back here, they wouldn't know who I am. They know who they think that I am, they'll recall who they remember me being. But who I am is not the man that was in 1999, 2000, 2001. And I'll bet that's true for you too. Who you are now is not the person you were 5 years ago. And it isn't just because we've practiced the science of mind or used mental laws to get happy. It's mostly because we've survived something. So I fear that this may be a downer. But it isn't, because it's quite hopeful for me. You know, yesterday was Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the holiest day on the Jewish calendar. The holiest. It's also known as the Day of Atonement. And New Thought people like you and me sometimes like to look at the word atonement and break up the spelling. We make it at one meant. It's the same word, at one meant. But I think atonement's not a bad thing. There's something very powerful in being humble enough to ask for help, or to offer help, or to ask for forgiveness, or to be forgiving. We usually do like a month of conversations about forgiveness in this center. But and oftentimes I will do like a 4-week workshop talking about forgiveness, and a handful of folks will come, and I'm always surprised at how many people don't. And so I poll people who seem to be fairly happy, like, what is forgiveness for you? And they go, well, I don't have anything to forgive. And I think, but you're breathing. Who makes it through a day without creating something, even a flash or a moment? Who doesn't create a moment or experience a moment in which forgiveness is not necessary, for our immediate judgments or our frustrations or our reactions or the forgetfulness of someone else. Forgiveness is not an event. And what I'm talking about today, none of this is about an event. Some of you may wonder, well, I haven't really suffered. And I don't want to. I get that. But I'm not talking about an event, like maybe you've not lost a child, or maybe you haven't lost a job. This is not an event I'm talking about. It's a paradigm. It's a way of moving through the world softer and sweeter. Holy. That's the word. It's holiness. So yesterday, the Jewish world was actually from Friday night at sundown to last night at sundown. They were, the devout ones were in temple or synagogues, and they were fasting. And I found it interesting that Linda McKay, one of our licensed practitioners, Linda McKay said that she spent yesterday in solitude, in prayer, and in fasting. And I said, Linda, are you Jewish? She goes, no. Why? I said, you spent yesterday in fasting and in silence, and the whole Jewish world was yesterday fasting and in silence, and you did not know? She goes, no. I thought, I want to be that plugged in, to be that plugged in, and you don't even know you're that plugged in, but you just feel compelled. I think today I'll just fast. Yom Kippur comes once a day, but atonement comes every day. To the one that really wants to experience the law of correspondence, holiness comes every day. So I was raised in the Catholic tradition. I went to St. Gertrude's Catholic Church. It was on Garfield Avenue in Bell Gardens. And it was a tiny little parish, mostly people from Oklahoma and from Latin America. It was a really interesting mix. It was like the brackish waters of the Puget Sound. There was the river water and the ocean colliding, and there was that place in between. It was neither Oklahoma nor Mexico. And St. Gertrude's Catholic Church I went to Catholic school, and I loved it. In fact, when we transferred from Catholic school to public school, I spent a whole year. My first year in public school, I spent in the offices as an office volunteer because they were teaching kids in classes stuff that I had learned the year before. And it was an amazing education, my Catholic upbringing. And when I was a kid, there was a part of the Catholic tradition that I didn't understand, therefore I cursed it. And now it's, I think, one of the most amazing elements, from my perspective, of the Catholic tradition. It's reconciliation. Reconciliation. The confessional. What I didn't know back then is that I used to think that why are we going to the priest? The priest's not God. If I got a connection to God, why can't I go to God directly? And all of that's true on some level. But the reality is, there is something profound and powerful about a door that's open for you, into which you may walk and close that door behind you. And in penitential disclosure, say anything, and have whatever it is you have to say, have it be heard, and to have it be forgiven. That's powerful. And then you're given penance, which is basically, penance is basically your fee. This is what you pay. You pay this fee, and it's the toll across the bridge into forgiveness. And the sins I admitted were always the same. It was always exactly the same. This week I have lied, disobeyed, and fought with my brothers and sisters. I didn't say all the other stuff, like I stole something from Disneyland. Or some things that I'm not even going to tell you. But they were always the same. I lied, disobeyed, and fought with my brothers and sisters. And I usually got 10 Hail Marys and a couple of Our Fathers. And I didn't understand it, but I always did it. And now I'm looking at the beauty of it. What I didn't know then that I know now about penitence and about penance and about the confession is that it is one of 7 sacraments. That forgiveness is one of the 7 most powerful and meaningful things about being alive. The experience of forgiveness. That's a paradigm. That's not an event. And what I didn't know is that the Catholic confessional has actually 3 elements. There's the conversion, there is the confession, and then there's the celebration. And if I were to offer you a tool to take home this week that would perhaps be useful in practicing the law of correspondence, it would be that this week you have conversion, and then you have confession, and then you have celebration. Conversion is when you realize that what you're doing is not working, or when you realize that you've made a mistake or an error, or when you realize that you want to alter or change something, or when you realize that a certain way of being has to stop, or when you have some revelation that apologies may be in order. That's the first step. It's called the conversion. You have an awareness that something's not working. Do any of you have anything in your life that's not working? I should have checked in a while ago, because, you're all looking at me like, and it occurs to me, oh, maybe you guys are already the perfectly holy ones, and which you are. But my prayer is that you have conversions this week. That when you get in a position, because some of you will, you'll get in a position. When you get in a position, that you will have a conversion. The world does not need our condemnation. I think the world needs more peaceful, holy people. So if we have conversions over and over and over, these are revelations that, hey, what I'm doing right now is not working, then we can move into what the Catholics call confession. That's where a confession sometimes is straight up, I might say, Darcy, you got a second? I need to get something off my chest. I gave the finger to someone on the freeway, and I can't believe, I don't want to do that anymore. Will you bear witness so that I might forgive myself enough to not do that again? The world does not need me giving the finger to people. And Darcy, I can see Darcy going, because Darcy's a total girl. She'll want to hug and she'll want to talk about it. Yeah, I know. And her husband's going, oh yes. And you know, when I've had the conversion, and that is, I don't want to flip people off anymore, and then I had the confessional, I might tell someone like Darcy, take a stand for me. I don't want to do this anymore. Then you have the third step. The Catholics call it celebration. You celebrate because you've had an experience of what they say is the presence of Jesus Christ. That's the presence of what Catholics call Jesus Christ. When you are so unburdened, then you've now got a field of brand new possibility in which the science of mind now can come at play. And then happiness might be a goal, but it's not the main goal. It's a byproduct. So there's many ways in which we can do that this week. There's a couple things on the calendar I'd like to draw to your attention. Next Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., the ministerial staff are going to be holding an open house here for prayer from 8 in the morning until 4 p.m. Just a day of prayer and silence. If you want to come hang out and have somebody perhaps pray with you or take your confession, you want to just come sit here and contemplate? You want to spend a half an hour, if you want to be like Anne and practice what is it like to sit for a half an hour, but you don't want to do it alone, come here on Saturday. Or Wednesday, we do this on Wednesday too. I've been hosting satsang, which is a enlightened community gets together, and there's been between 25 and 50 people every Wednesday. We sit in fellowship hall in a circle. I sit on my prayer pillow. I ring the bell at 6:30, and for half an hour we sit in silence. People arrive when they can. People come in at 6:45. They come in quietly and they sit. And then we ring the bell. And then we just dialogue about whatever's up. It's very informal. Then we put the chairs away. We get on with our life. Next Friday is the beginning of a new 8-week class series called Your Creative Brilliance. It's if you've been here before, you'll notice that there's usually some paintings on the back wall. Those are painted by people who are in that Your Creative Brilliance class. And so there's a new series beginning, and it's led by Deb and M. Dake Morell. And they put canvas tarps all over Fellowship Hall. They just cover the carpet up and put out tables and put out big canvases and give people paint. And you watch people who thought they were completely without talent, people who think, I can't draw stick figures, suddenly create things like that, seriously, on their first try. That begins next Friday, and there's flyers about that in Fellowship Hall. And there's a lot of things shifting. Today is the first day of the new year. And our giving tree is now leafless. This month we're embarking on our intentional giving program. I'll talk more about that later in the month. But every time an intentional giving card comes in, a pledge card, you probably have gotten one in the mail. Every time one is sent in, the name of one of those, the name of you and your family is put on a leaf, and it fills that tree again. It's remarkable to watch. All of this stuff is beginning to brew. But we'll talk more about that later. What I want to leave you with today is ours is not a surface level, superficial faith tradition. Ours is one in which we get to face head on that there is suffering, and there's also great and mighty triumph. Let's pray together. I'm very happy on this day that we're experiencing the choir I'm very grateful that Michelle has the weekend off and that John Hazen has stepped in so that we can have the experience of newness and freshness and enthusiasm. And I'm very moved that our music department has room for expansion and growth and depth. I'm grateful to be here in this room with you, my friends, at this time, and you who are online. I'm grateful that I may speak my word, and my word is my power, and my word is my integrity. The word that I speak is that life is magnificent, whether we are celebrating or grieving, whether we are thrilled or frustrated. We are in the presence of a mighty power to which everything is possible. And that is sufficient for me to make this the beginning of a great week. And so it is. Before the ushers come down and help us with the sharing of our gifts and tithes and offerings, I wanted to just say a couple more things. The great English Prime Minister during World War II, Winston Churchill, he is known to have said that you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. You make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. Now, if you Google that, you're going to find that there's lots of argument that no, Churchill never said that, no, someone else did, nobody really knows who said it, so that doesn't really matter so much as I believe it. We make a life by what we get. We make a living by what we get, but we really make a life by what we give. Next week, I think I'm going to talk to you about the experience that a powerful mentor of mine, I've never met him, but I watch him on videos a lot. He did this experiment with a homeless woman in New York. Not like an experiment where he hooked her up to electrodes and things, but he did this experiment where her typical amount of receiving money was she got between $20 and $30 per day. And 30 was like a really, really, really good day. But her sign was like, can you help me, homeless woman, veteran, Christian, God bless you. She covered all the bases. So that whoever you were, she would have an in. But she made typically $20 to $30 a day. And this guy on the video, decided he wanted to do this experiment and see what would happen if he changed her sign. So he did. He changed her sign, and he wrote instead, so the sign that she had was, if you give only once this week, won't you please consider giving to me? And within 2 hours, she had earned $40, and then she got up and she left, because apparently that's her mental equivalent is that $40 is all she needs and she's gone for the day. But the point is, normally $30 is a good day, but she earned $40 in 2 hours because the message was shifted. See, it wasn't about receiving, but about giving. She was giving people an opportunity to give. So Winston Churchill or whoever said, you make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. I want you to consider that today's offering is actually designed for you, so you have an opportunity to give and be in the presence of giving, because I think ultimately that's what really matters, is giving. And regardless of the size of your gift, I pray that you will join me in having our giving be powerful and monumental by saying our giving affirmation together as the ushers come forward. I deserve to be happy, prosperous, and well. Everyone deserves to be happy, prosperous, and well. I attract opulence because I am attuned to the abundant nature of the universe.
to be humble, to be kind. It is the giving of the peace in your mind to a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. To be bold, to be brave, it is the thinking that the heart could still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The dangers in the anger and the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. Tell me what it is that you see, a world that's full of endless possibility, and heroes don't look like they used to, they look like you do. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Thank you, choir. Thank you. And musicians, thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. A couple of announcements. Please take home a bulletin so you get the full gist, and check our website and our information wall. We have a few things going on, as always. Today at the center, Reverend Maureen Ross will continue her group, Let's Talk About, and today is a circle of love, coming together in a circle, sharing, caring, and being present as community. That's from 2 to 4 o'clock. Also at 12:30 today, Patty Searle, who's a member of our core council, will host an introduction to the Landmark Forum. So those things are happening today. Dr. David already mentioned Satsang is Wednesday night at 6:30. Come be in the silence. And David is also hosting his last drop-in group for 2014, and this one is all about money. It's all about the money, no? Pitch Perfect? Anyone? No? Okay, just me. That will be at 5:45 on Wednesdays. And Creative Brilliance, Dr. David already talked about that, starts Friday. Next Saturday, please join me from 8 to 4, and our other practitioners and ministers, some will be there, just to drop in. And about that day, by the way, on Saturday, it really is a day of silence. We're asking that you leave your cell phone in the car. We're not even wanting them in the building. It's a chance to really be unplugged. And if you can come for 10 minutes, that's great. If you want to stay the whole 8 to 4, we will be here for you. The Better Business Breakfast is coming up not this week, but next week. I'll talk more about that next Sunday. There's a lot going on for adult enrichment. We have some really cool opportunities this month. Dr. Susan James, who's a member of this community, is offering a workshop on strategies for wholeness. That's going to be on Thursdays beginning October 16th. There's a workshop with Thomas Custer entitled The Stages of Love. It's about new ways of having a relationship work. That's going to be, that's a one morning, Saturday, October 18th from 10 to 1. And that same day, October 18th, I'm so excited that our youth department is hosting a Halloween party. We listened to our parents. A lot of our parents were saying, doing it at 6 at night. It varies. It doesn't work for all the age groups. So we're doing it from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. There'll be games, crafts, a chance to bake cookies. You can come in costume if you want. And adults must be accompanied by a child. So please. And children must be accompanied by an adult too. We're on to you guys. So that's from 2 to 5 on the 18th. Yeah, really. Drive by. In the bulletin, we have this great thing that's happening. How many of you shop at Amazon.com? Any Amazon shoppers out there? Me too. It's my favorite website. All the time. Well, you know what? Click. I know. You know what you can do now? You can go to Amazon, and it's actually called Amazon Smile because Amazon has now started helping nonprofits just by your shopping. So you can go to smileamazon.com. The instructions are in the bulletin. You can type in CSLSJ as the charity you wish to support, and every time you make a purchase at Amazon.com, we get a percentage of that from Amazon. So I know, isn't that awesome? I'm very excited. So I just did it yesterday, in fact. This, Friday I signed up, and then because I had to buy 2 books, and I was like, yay! So that's very cool. Lastly, outreach this month. If we have a really great plan, if you would like to sing Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy and other 1940s songs, we have a group of folks who are going to sing some of the songs of the 40s at the White Blossom Convalescent Home in Willow Glen. It's right here in Willow Glen. You don't need to be a good singer. You know what I always say, if you can't sing, sing louder. That's what my improv teacher taught me. And that's going to be on Saturday the 25th. You can sign up either through Fellowship One, or you can send an email to outreach@cslsj.org. And it's the first Sunday of October, so we get a chance to celebrate birthdays. If you had a birthday last week, or if you have a birthday coming up anytime in the month of October, please raise your hand or stand, and our ushers have a gift for you, and our choir is going to sing happy birthday.
And please stand and take the hand of the person on your right and on your left, and keep in mind that our licensed practitioners will pray with anybody for any reason after service. Please repeat after me, as is our custom. Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my relationships.
Life is in my relationships.
Life is in my finances.
Life is in my finances.
I see it.
I see
I
it.
think it.
I think
I
it.
feel it.
I feel
I
it.
believe it.
I believe it.
I accept it.
I accept it.
I express it.
I express it.
Just the way that it is.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is not.
And just the way that it is not.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.
Bye.